So, Adam Gresek from Groundhog Hickory Golf. So excited to talk to you about the golf clubs and everything you're doing to restore them. Let me first see, let's show everybody exactly what we're talking about. Show me what you have in your hand.
This is an antique hickory golf club in an unrestored state. I found this at a antique shop somewhere here in southeastern Pennsylvania. As you can see, it's really rusty, and the hickory shaft is intact. The hickory lasts a very long time. The old leather and even the whippings coming off here, literally in my hand. I take the clubs from looking like this
Yeah,
and turn them into something that looks like this. As you can see, you
amazing.
got all the rust and the polish off. You got, some little bit of actual Scottish made tartan cloth in there. And then new
Wow.
whipping and gripping. I did this one in the colors of Penn State, which I know a lot of people around here would really like.
Yeah.
So, but
So you are finding these old golf clubs, you're restoring them, and in some cases, you're personalizing them for people. Is that right?
yeah, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I went to whatever high school or I went to whatever college, and can you do one?" And in those colors, I could absolutely do that.
So tell me about what is a hickory golf club. So this is one of my clubs, right?
Mhm.
And this is just a regular old metal golf club. This is leather here. Tell me about the hickory part of the golf club.
So the hickory part's referring specifically to the shaft of the golf club, right? And right, it was right around the 1880s, 1890s, a lot of British club makers discovered that hickory doesn't grow well in Europe. American hickory made for great golf club material. It's really high durability. You can put a flex on it and it doesn't snap. When you come through it, it maintains its shape when coming through the ball. And this replaced a lot of the ash that they were using in Britain. British club makers were making the heads. They were hand forging the heads, and essentially what was a blacksmith shop. But they were importing American hickory and then making the clubs out of it. And this was the norm for golf club making from the late 19th century to the late 1900 or late 1800s, all the way up until about 1935. In 1935, yeah, 1935, the U.S. Open was won by a golfer using steel shafts, and from that point on, steel shafts dominated the day. So,
Wow.
and it's even within the era of hickory golf, which, I mean, you can go back to antique golf goes back, almost into the 1700s. The clubs were all wood and everything. But even within hickory golf, you see an era where the heads were mostly hand forged by British club makers, and then when golf gets popular in the United States after the 19 teens, I think it's with the first American amateur wins the U.S. Open. There's this explosion in golf in America, and that's where you see a lot of the brand names we know nowadays, like Spalding and McGregor. They
Yeah.
start making club or importing them from Britain, and then even building their own factories. So you have millions of hickory clubs out there still in the world, made by both British club makers and by American sporting goods factories. So.
So what is it like to play with a hickory club? Like how is it different than a metal one or a hybrid?
Um, it, it is stripping all of the technology away from the modern golf game. So in the modern game, you've got graphite shafts that they can tune them to flex almost to your swing. You've got hollow iron faces. You've got titanium driver heads. You've got all of these things that are either adding performance, so making the ball fly further, spin harder, or they're helping a bad golfer improve their game by reducing mishits and everything.
Well, that
These
would be
take
me.
away all of that.
But
Oh, yeah. These
I
kind of take
really
away
enjoy
all that
playing
tech.
golf, but I am not good at
Yeah.
it. I've also learned that really nobody is ever content with their golf game. We all think we can be better. That's part of the mentality, right? To always want to improve.
Yeah, and this is where Hickory Golf is a really fun equalizer in that you're not expected to play great with these. Or at least, if you're a good golfer, you'll still be a generally good golfer with Hickory clubs. If you're not a great golfer, you'll be about the same, but the feel you get is totally different than what you get from the modern clubs. A lot of players that I know that talk about playing with their modern clubs, especially ones for game improvement, they're like, yeah, I hit the ball better, but like I don't know what if I did something wrong or if I did something right. With these, I mean, as I often joke, how you've hit the shot wrong on the way down to the ball, because
Why is
it's a
that?
butter.
Let's talk about
Again,
shafts, Adam. So
yeah.
the hickory, the
Hmm.
wood must feel different, right?
It
Like,
absolutely does. It
okay,
feels different, and it like the vibration when it hits the ball is
yeah,
different. The flex on it as you're coming through the ball is different. You have to actually slow your swing down, even if you're an amateur or recreational player. You're not swinging out of your shoes like you're Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler, because whatever you're doing wrong, this will actually amplify it. But
hmm,
then when you do slow your game down and you are hitting with these older clubs and you figure out how to hit with them, you put a lot more emphasis on keeping the ball in the fairway, keeping it in the short grass, as opposed to just distance, distance, distance. And I've even gone out and, I'm not a particularly talented golfer. I get the ball to the hole eventually. But I'll go out and I'll play with folks playing with modern clubs, and a lot of them are looking to just hit it as far as they can. They
yeah,
give the big muscly swing and everything. And, I hit it 100, 120, 140 yards down the middle of the fairway off the tee, and they may hit it 200 something yards that way into the woods. And by the
right.
time they find their ball, I've already walked up to mine and hit again. you know? So, it takes away a lot of that performance pressure with golf of like, oh, I have to hit it so far.
Listen, we don't
I
want
have
anybody to
to.
have performance anxiety,
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
that's good. But now
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
so these are antique, is it special?
They are almost all antiques. There are a couple of club makers, a couple in the United States, one over in Great Britain, that are still manufacturing these. Those are almost bespoke, custom-made sets. Like you go to their workshop. They're in, they've got a major factory type thing. They measure you. They do them to the exact angle that you want and everything, and they are extremely expensive. I mean, you're talking like $3,500 to $6,000 for a player set. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And they do incorporate some of the elements of modern golf club making into them. If that's your thing, great. A lot of actual competitive Hickory players tend to go with the modern made ones because they can be tuned to their game. However, most Hickory players part of it is they like playing with an antique. In a lot of ways, it's
Yeah.
like think of people who restore like an old Ford Mustang or like a classic car. You're not getting all the bells and whistles you are with something that's right off the lot. It may not go as fast, may not turn as hard or turn as easily, but there's something about the feel of that old engine and the old manufacturing, the old craftsmanship that you get with one of these that was made 100 years ago in a workshop in St. Andrews that you don't get for something that was made today.
So
And
cool. Now you're selling them. Are you selling sets or singles, or how do you sell them?
right now, my inventory, I've got a bunch of putters made because putters are pretty entry level. I am hoping to finish a couple of full sets for sale. There's a great Spalding put out a line of clubs called the Crow Flight. They've got a bird on the club head flapping, and I'm looking to do a set of those themed in Eagles colors because if there's going to be a bird on a club, go birds.
Sure.
And then but I've got, as you can see, I've got quite a few clubs waiting to be
Wow.
restored here. So if somebody wanted a bespoke set of clubs, then they're like, hey, I like my irons to be this length with this loft and everything. I can probably find you a set of clubs that meets that, and I can shine them up, reset the heads, and Put them
Well, I
in
want to
whatever
talk
colors
about
you
how,
want. You
the
want.
work that you're putting into them, but I do want to congratulate you. You are officially a small business owner,
I
just like
am.
me. Welcome
Yeah.
to the club, Groundhog
Thank
Hickory
you.
Golf. How does it
Yeah.
feel?
It's interesting. I mean, my parents are small business owners. They were restaurateurs, and it's a much different thing being a one person operation as opposed to being a restaurant. But
Yeah,
it is a cool little thing of like, wow, I have this little thing that's all me. It's a really neat feeling, and I am going to give a shout out to the state of Pennsylvania that as a veteran, it was free for me to file my LLC. So any veterans that are listening to this, if you're looking to start a small business, Pennsylvania is a pretty friendly state for it. So.
yes. Yes. Okay, now show me some of let's go back to the club you have that was not restored, the one that's the grungy one.
Okay.
And then
Yep.
walk me through, right. So that is, but it's in good shape. It just needs a glow up, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the metal is still the metal's still intact. I mean, there may be some like pitting and everything, but essentially, what I would do is it might be hard to see on the camera, but somewhere underneath that rust, there's a pin that holds this head onto the hickory shaft. So what I would do is I'd find that where that pin is, take a punch and a hammer, pop that pin out. You take the head of the club off. This is a broken shaft, but that'll show you what's inside. So
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay.
So then you see the hole where that pin goes
Yep.
through.
Yep.
And so I would then, take this head off, however rusted out or whatever treatment it needs to make it pretty again, when that's either soaking it in rust remover for a day or two and then, scrubbing off the rust. It may be just Dremel tooling, whatever's off of there. And then I get a new brass pin and epoxy, reset the head onto the shaft. You sand it down and you stain it and everything.
So that's a finished one?
Yep.
That's
This one's not
beautiful.
quite finished. I don't have a
Oh,
grip on it yet.
oh, but the wood
So,
looks
but you can
amazing.
see,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can
Yeah.
see the brass pin that I put in there to
Oh,
reset the head. Yeah, and then got the wood all shined up, got it shellacked and stained, and then the grip, it's hard.
ooh.
It's all hand wrapped leather. Yeah,
Wow.
and then the
Nice.
whipping thread, which is the waxed linen thread, and then this one has a little bit of tartan on it as well. So, and then that's and you can see that's one of the hopefully the light catches it, but yeah, that's the shine you
Yeah.
can get off of this and this
Wow.
one this one looked pretty similar to that,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
at one point
Before
in
and
time.
after.
Yeah,
Wow. That's amazing. Now
yeah, and this
you
is
have,
actually, I mean,
so how much does that finished one, like how much does that sell for?
this was one of our Eagles themed ones, 175.
Great.
So,
Gorgeous.
and to compare it, so this sort of this 100-year-old hand refinished piece of art goes for $175. You can put it in your golf bag today and go putt with it. If you go to Golf Galaxy and buy the latest TaylorMade putter, you're
Yeah.
dropping $300, $400 for one of them.
Yeah.
So, but guarantee you, no one else will have this club on the
Right.
course,
And
So,
Groundhog Hickory Golf, based in Phoenixville, small
yep.
business, veteran owned. What you're a
Mhm.
golf artisan, is what you are.
Why, thank you.
Now tell me, how did you get into golf? Tell me the whole story.
So I grew up. I grew up in Florida, and I remember the first time I played golf. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. My father bought me like I'm right left-handed, so my father bought me a left-handed golf club, which I couldn't hit with at all. And eventually, I started hitting with his clubs and did a lot better. And he plays right-handed. They sent me to golf summer camp when I was like 11, I want to say 10, 11 years old. And so I played a lot of golf as a little kid.
Wow.
Kept playing through my 20s and everything. And then when I moved to Washington, D.C., right around when I turned 30, I was playing quite a bit. And I played a ton of golf. I actually started to get, I would dare say, fairly good at it. I broke 90 once. Once I broke 90
Ooh,
once and
wow.
never again. Yeah. Um, but I had two beautiful sets of the latest and greatest monstrosities that came out of TaylorMade and Callaway and everything. And at a certain point, though, I like hit a wall, and I went from being very good at, I mean, I'd say fairly good, to just watching my game decline, and my scorecards went back up into the 120, and everything about the game frustrated me. Like, and I just like gave up. I took my two sets of clubs, donated them to a DC high school for their golf team, and was like, nah, I guess that activity is done in my life.
Wow.
And then my dad, a little while back, my dad turned 70, and he had never been out of the country. And I was like, well, let's do some international travel. And I had been to Scotland once already, and I was like, hey, Scotland's a fun place to go. And he really wanted to play some golf.
Is
And
your
we went,
heritage Scottish?
not at all.
Okay.
Not
Because
at
I
all.
love your Instagram pictures, and I've seen some pictures
Yeah.
of you wearing your as a tam, right? And that's what it's called?
Actually, this is a bonnet. The tam
A
would have
bonnet.
the Thule right up here at the top. Yeah, it's a bonnet made by lovely Grassmarket Tartans in Edinburgh. They're part of a community organization that provides meals for elderly Edinburgh residents. So if you're ever in Edinburgh, get a bonnet from Grassmarket. Sorry for the plug.
Wow.
They're lovely people. Um,
Yeah. So you're not
but
Scottish at all.
Not Scottish. Oh yeah. In fact, Gresek is Russian. My great grandfather
Oh.
was in the Russian Revolution.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
um,
I
yeah.
have Russian too,
Um,
but we were kind of like running, screaming out of Russia because, they were killing all the Jewish people.
yeah,
But
yeah. Oh yeah.
anywho,
Eventually, Eventually, Yefim was running, screaming out of Russia at one point as well. No, but
anyway,
he
back to
really wanted
golf.
to.
So you went to
Yeah,
Scotland
he
with your
really.
dad.
Yeah, my dad really wanted to play golf in Scotland, and instead of playing like one of the really big name courses, he wanted some place that he and I could play, both as relatively knowledge, as people who at least knew how to play golf, but also my partner Janice and my mother, where they could play along with us. And I happened upon this historic site called Kingarrick. It's part of the National Trust for Scotland, and it's an old manor house. The last owner made his fortune in the jute industry, making rope and burlap bags and everything. And he was a member of the Royal and Ancient in St. Andrews, but he didn't like the car ride into St. Andrews every day to play. So he and his son went to their groundskeeper and was like, hey, take those two sheep pastures and make them a golf course for us. So they cut a golf course out of the manor grounds, and the family would play there. Eventually, the family passes away. The whole estate is given over to the National Trust, and the National Trust restored this golf course as it looked in the 1920s as best as they could. And when you book like a tour there, you book a tee time. They give you a little tour of the gardens, talk to you about the family and everything, and then hand you a loaner bag of hickory clubs, and it's hickories only on this course. No modern clubs, no, you have to play with hickories. And I was worried about like, oh man, am I going to fall back into my old golf habits? And it was the most fun I had had on a golf course in probably 20 years. And
Wow.
I had such a good time. And when I came back to the States, I was like, there's got to be a few of these sitting around somewhere. So I started hunting them and, antique shops and, looking on eBay and everything. And eventually, I'd find them, but they were in bad shape. So I started looking up, well, how do you clean these? How do you get the rust off of stainless steel? How do you get, how do you refinish hickory wood? How do you cut leather? Started getting all
So
those
you
skills
taught
together, and
yourself how to
eventually,
do all that stuff.
yep, I taught myself how to
Wow.
do most of it. My last trip to Scotland, which was a few months ago, I actually there's a gentleman like me. He runs a place called the Hickory Workshop. It also goes by Hickory Smoked Golf, and they do an experience where you go into their workshop and everything. And he liked working with me because I knew the basics, so we were learning all sorts of like fancy techniques on. He was showing me how to like do multiple color leathers on one club and all
Right.
sorts of things. So I have had a little bit of training, but this is mostly self-taught. So,
And that's your workshop set up behind you, right?
yep, yep, utility room in my house. So,
This is my workshop behind me. It's all books
yeah,
and
hey, yeah,
so can you show me just a few more of the finished ones so people can really
sure.
understand?
Yeah, so this one, this one I just had, so it's Eagles themed, and the more dark, the darker color Eagles club. So this is actually, you'll notice this one actually has a little bit of a curve, and
Yeah,
that was actually deliberate. They did this thing with putters called a St. Andrew's bend, which
I thought that was
it
something else.
basically puts your hand angle at such so that you're like the center of gravity for the club's more the center of the club face than the heel.
Okay.
So it's not you can take a curve out of a hickory shaft, but that's left in there. But this one, I did it in dark
Ooh,
green and brown and black and everything. It's I call it Omaha Willie because I drive a Jeep, and it kind of like struck me as like I had this great olive drab leather, so I sort of did like a World War II Jeep theme with it.
gorgeous.
So this one's still a little sticky because I just put the stain on it, but this is a driver, so I
Wow.
just stained it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
gorgeous.
it's still a work in progress, but
Right.
yeah. But
Nice.
yeah, brought out the, you know,
Beautiful. What a great gift for a golfer.
yeah.
Now, tell me about
Yeah.
the bags too, right? Because I saw on your Instagram and that the bags look different for these hickories. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Here, this is so one, the stand's not built in.
Okay.
You got what are called trestle sticks.
Oh.
So it's, just, so, and then the bag kind of goes on it this side when you carry it around.
Oh.
And the bags are a lot more slender.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're canvas and leather or whatever. And that's also because an average hickory set only really is about 6 or 7 clubs.
Oh.
So, yeah. So you'll have a driver, a wood. Let's see. You got a mid iron, which that's like your fairway iron or whatever. This is the set I did commemorating my hometown where I live in Phoenixville with the bright fiery red like the
Yeah.
Phoenix bird.
Gorgeous.
But yeah, your mid iron's like your 2 or 3 iron.
Okay.
You have a mashy, which is like your 5 iron, 6 iron. A mashy niblick, which is a 7 or 8 iron. Your niblick, which is your
What are the
wedge.
words? Is that Scottish or so? What are those? What are these
They
words?
yeah, they're the words that before they assign numbers to the clubs, that's what they referred to them. And then your putter, and this is actually a really pretty brass one.
Yes.
So yeah.
Wow. Well,
So
for the hickory clubs, once somebody buys them from you, are there
Mhm.
special like care instructions for them? Or do you have to do something to keep them healthy clubs? Like,
Yeah, they like I mean, even with a modern set of clubs, you're going to want to clean them after every couple of rounds or so. With the hickory clubs, especially if you're playing in damp conditions, so not just rain, but even if the grass has like was recently watered, or there's mist or dew on it. When you get done, you're going to want to dry the heads off because a lot of them aren't rust proof steel, and they'll get a little bit of surface rust on them. Then when you get home, make sure you obviously get all the mud off of them. You want to do that with your modern clubs as well. And with mine, generally every couple of rounds, I'll put a little bit of either gun oil or mineral oil on them, and that keeps them from rusting up, gives them a nice shine. And just like a modern golf grip, that the rubber grips wear out over time. Actually, they take a while. The leather grips and the thread, if you're using it, it is going to start to the leather will start to fray a little bit. The thread can come undone. So every so many years or so, you can get them regripped and re-whipped, which that's something that actually one of the services that we're looking to do is, if you already are a hickory golfer, I can re-grip and re-whip your clubs for you. And also, if you have, one thing that I've found when I've gotten since getting involved in this is a lot of people will like, oh yeah, I've got my grandfather's clubs like up in the attic, and I haven't looked at,
Yeah.
if you do have a set of heirloom clubs that was special to you and they're degrading with time, time shreds everything eventually, and you want to get them looking nice again, it's a service I offer is you can bring in those clubs that are, important to you or whatever. And even if you're never going to take them out on a golf course,
Yeah.
and I can work with you if you want to redo them in, grandpa's alma mater colors, or, if you, or if you want them done very traditionally with black or brown leather, or even depending on how badly the original leather has aged, some of it can be salvageable, and you can actually reuse the old leather in some cases.
Yeah. I
But you
love
can
the
make it
idea. I
so
love
that
that you say heirloom clubs. I mean, because it
yeah,
really is something you can hand down to different generations, whether people play or not. It's an heirloom, like a clock or a piece of furniture, because it's wood,
yeah,
right? And so, or whatever it is, it's something that somebody treasured and they're handing down to you.
yeah,
I think it's an amazing gift. I think it's an amazing business that you're starting, Groundhog
yeah.
Hickory Golf in Phoenixville. Now, the hickory I understand. Tell me about the groundhog.
So I've visited lots of parks in my day, and one of my favorite critters is a groundhog. I think they're amazingly cute. I was actually one place where I worked. There was a groundhog burrow just outside of where my office was. So like whenever I'd be going home for the day or whatever, I'd walk out. I'd walk out of my office to go to my car, and there'd be the groundhog just kind of staring at me. And so I know they're horrible for golf courses, and I know they yeah. But yeah, I just love groundhogs as an animal. I think they're really, really cute. And I mean, so yeah, that's how I went with Groundhog Hickory Golf.
Okay, so you have a
and
website. It's a great website, Groundhog Hickory
yeah,
Golf. You're on Instagram. You're on all of the places that people can find you to buy
yep,
or hickory golf clubs or have their clubs refurbished.
yes, yeah. For the refurbishment and everything, so, yeah, there's a contact form. Send me an email. I got about 9 putters that are on the website that you can, you know, click and buy right now. If you're looking for something a little bit more bespoke, or hey, I'd love a club that looks like this, send me an email. And if you're interested in a full set, that's probably a little bit more of a conversation, because I want to find out how tall you are and everything, and make
Right.
sure I get you clubs that are going to sort of fit your body. I'm not a professional club fitter, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's if you there, you mentioned something about like with the heirloom thing too, and that it's a piece of wood. And that's one of the things that, like, your modern club there, it's steel, it's
Now that I've
plastic,
seen
it's
those,
rubber.
this seems like the version of a big box store as opposed to like, I mean, I love these. These are mine, but
With the hickory club, I mean, this was alive at some point. Like
yeah.
and everything on here for the most part is organic material. It's linen thread with wax. It's leather. Even like the steel. The steel, while steel is manufactured, it's iron and carbon. It's a much more of like a natural organic item than a modern club. And not that there's anything wrong with the modern clubs. They do some amazing, amazing things, but there's just this, I don't know, it's a little bit more of that artisan
Yeah.
character that you're alluding to.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And I can see just using that as art also, as decor in
yeah.
your house. That is a work of art that you are creating and recreating and bringing back to life. So I'm so excited to talk to you about this. Thank you for sharing this story. I wish you the best of luck with your business, Groundhog Hickory Golf. I hope everybody gets in touch with you. And thank you so much for your time.
Hey, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to be on Mainline tonight. This is really exciting, and it's such an awesome opportunity. So thank you for giving that opportunity to me.
Absolutely my pleasure.